Hello friends and welcome to Star Wars Debates. Today's question, why is Rey so powerful? And I do have an answer for you, whether you like it or not, and it's in canon. So let's go over first why Rey is so powerful. She takes on Kylo Ren in single combat. Now that's no small feat. He was of course injured at the time, he was emotionally compromised, and he actually tried to convert her at one point, so it's debatable whether he was going all out. But Rey was able to survive, Finn was not. So it's an accomplishment, maybe not a Mary Sue level accomplishment, but something's there. Now in The Last Jedi, she was able to defeat 3 Praetorian guards on her own. That's something that it was questionable whether even Kylo Ren could do it, because he was defeated by his 3 guards, or at least he was in a chokehold. So that was, evidence that he was losing there, and she was able to kill all 3. So I see that as implausible because these Praetorian guards are trained to defeat Force users. They were prepared to fight Kylo Ren in the event of a betrayal. They were like the Navy SEALs of the First Order. And so the fact that a street tough like Rey from Jakku could have that level of skill is very implausible to me. Even though you're totally Force sensitive, it's kind of pushing it, in my opinion. Especially because one of the blades disappears. The one that gets her in a chokehold. Check it out. It's really fascinating. And then at the end of The Last Jedi, she's able to force lift massive amounts of rocks. I don't know if that much mass has been lifted by a Jedi Master before in canon. I think Mace Windu does something like it in the Clone Wars. I know Yoda, of course, lifts the X-Wing. But those are Jedi Masters on the Jedi Council that are able to fight Palpatine personally. Now I see that as implausible as something Rey should be able to do with exactly no training. Now that's the biggest problem with Rey being so powerful, is that she has exactly no training. Now we know that training is important because Qui-Gon Jinn, in his dying breaths, begged Obi-Wan to train the boy. Now you have to ask yourself, why? If he's just going to grow up and be like the chosen one with no help from the Jedi at all, then why is it so important? Is it important that we indoctrinate him or that we transfer skills? Then you have Obi-Wan Kenobi literally coming back from the grave to give Luke the instruction to go to Yoda at Dagobah to have him trained. It's really important that we have training. You must complete the training. Don't go to Bespin or Cloud City. We need to have you trained. So training is very, very important. I think that that's fairly well established in the lore. In fact, that's why Rey, besides to ask for help from Luke, wants to be trained by Master Skywalker, which he didn't at all. He had one meditation session. But the training, I think, is a strong theme. So how is this girl able to get so much power without being trained? Well, the answer comes to us in The Last Jedi novelization. It's implied strongly in the movie, but it's not explicitly stated. Now, Kylo Ren and Rey have a connection, and in canon this is what's called a Force bond. The only other 2 people that had it was Ezra Bridger and Darth Maul from Rebels, and Count Dooku and Yoda in the Clone Wars. That's the only other 2 times we've seen it, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the Force bond between Kylo Ren and Rey was created by Snoke. He says this in The Last Jedi movie. It was I who bridged your minds. So he created that bond between them, all as a ploy to get Rey to have pity on Kylo, because he knew he wouldn't be strong enough to not show his vulnerabilities, causing her to pity him, and then finding Skywalker because he knew that she knew where he was. And so through this bond in the novelization, it explains that the skills of Kylo Ren were transferred to Rey via this link. I'm going to read to you the excerpt. It says that the strange contact between their minds had given her insight into his powers and had helped her to unleash her own. And then when he's manipulating her mind, it says as he callously rifled through her mind, he had somehow revealed his own. Rey found herself in his mind, even as he invaded hers. She felt his rage like a ruinous storm that filled his head, and his hatred and his lust to dominate and humiliate those who wronged him. So there's an information transfer, which we knew from the movie. But then there's these other insights. She also feels his hurt and his loneliness, his fear that he would not prove as strong as Darth Vader. But then it says that that had not been the end of that strange, sudden connection. She had seen more, far more. Somehow, almost instinctually, she knew how he accessed some of the powers at his command, even though she didn't understand them. It was as if his training had become hers, unlocking and flinging open door after door in her mind. And that's what makes me fascinated, is that it was as if his training had become hers. Now, if this is true, it makes me wonder why this artificially created force bridge, this force bond created by Snoke, why wasn't this something that the Jedi employed with their Padawans? Because if they can just form a link and transfer skills and training, why didn't they all do this? Master Yoda was 1,000 years old, almost 1,000, 900. In all that time of his great force abilities, did it not occur to the Jedi that they, instead of this inefficient method of training Padawans for decades, they could simply transfer enough skills to make them worthy to fight Sith Lords in only days? Hours? I don't know how long, because Rey was connected to Kylo Ren. Couldn't have been more than a week. And she was able to get powers enough to lift great loads of rocks, to fight Praetorian guards. It's extraordinary what they were able to do. So how I think this changes the Star Wars universe is that training is no longer required. It can be transferred through the Force. Now you can let me know how I'm incorrect here, but I feel like this changes everything in regard that there is no longer training needed. You can just simply link each other's mind. And why didn't the Jedi think of this before? Why not form artificial links with their Padawans? Let me know down in the comments what you think. Think about how this development changes the Force, how it changes the Jedi's methodology, how it changes everything works. We know how Rey becomes powerful by Force link. So why not have done this before? Let me know in the comments below. Force push the like and subscribe button, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hit a like, hit a dislike, I don't care. But I do want to hear your thoughts. I look forward to seeing them.